Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. Steve here at Logic FX Trading, and welcome to our daily FX analysis on Wednesday, the 13th of September, October 2021. Just a quick look at today's economic calendar, guys. Westpac Consumer Confidence Index in Australia come in at 104.6. Not much difference to previous, and we don't actually have a forecast there. German inflation rate year-on-year final come in as forecast, slightly up on previous. UK GDP 3-month average come in at 2.9, forecast 3, so it's slightly down, and on forecast and further down on revised for the must have been for the month before. And GDP year-on-year actual come in at 6.9, forecast 6.7, revised 8.8. Core inflation rate to come in the US, and inflation rate. Also an FOMC minute meetings. Okay, so what does all that mean? Well, creates a bit of a conundrum. Gross domestic product falling in the UK. Employment change, not as much growth as expected. But at the same time, we are seeing inflation. So if we go over to here, we've got, now this is what we call a red top, but it was the only story I could find on the subject. Get set for rate rises to curb inflation. Experts predict a leap to 0.5% by March. In a blow to homeowners. Bank of England expect to raise rates from 0.1% to 0.25% in December, and then to 0.5% in March in a battle to tame inflation. Now, when interest rates are increased, the currency tends to go up, guys. The IMF said central banks must be very, very vigilant about the threat posed by rising prices. And then it says here that it mentioned the United Kingdom and the US. Hours after the figures emerged, the IMF became the latest organisation to warn about inflation, singling out the UK and the US as the two developed economies most at risk of seeing prices spiral. So the conundrum I have, guys, is that with GDP coming in lower, is it a good thing to raise your interest rates? But having said that, if you want to control inflation, then maybe you do have to. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on the pound to see if there's any signs of it reversing recent losses. And that could be the start of a move long in the pound, guys. So we'll have a look at the charts later, see if there's any sign of it. And if there is, then maybe we start to forecast the pound long against some of the other currencies. Okay. Overnight alerts, we got USD, Swedish krona, Euro USD, and New Zealand USD. So we got three of those right. So it looks like a move on long on the USD, guys. I did take USD Swedish krona long yesterday. I haven't looked at the trade this morning, but it was sitting around zero yesterday, the last time I looked at it. Chinese yen has pushed down slightly more, guys. Set that little alarm off. It could be a little bit more. If this is going to be impulsive, you know, like this, obviously you're going to get pullbacks, guys. But so what I'm looking for is a pullback before calling it short again, guys. Remember, if you're in it, it's up to you where you put your stop losses to let it run. We're not suggesting you trade the index, by the way. We're just using the index to give us an idea of where the yen is going overall. Dollar. Now, I'm a little bit concerned with that, guys, because that looks like an ending diagonal. 1, 2, 3. It's going up, but going up at a lesser and lesser momentum, as it were. Could well see that drop from there. Now, fundamentally, I don't see a reason for that to happen, guys, but obviously fundamentals give you the bigger trend. They can't dictate, you know, the day-to-day small movements on the 1 hour time scale. So potentially we could see a pullback in the dollar. Now, to be fair, that's what we've been drawing. That's what we're looking for in order to get into it. If you're not in it, remember, the main thing we're doing here is looking for trades. We're not necessarily managing trades. Leave that to yourselves, guys. But you could also run like that. But I wouldn't worry too much about that trend. That's the trend, guys. But you can't, and that's driven by fundamentals. But within that, obviously, you get your day-by-day pullbacks and advances. With that being the way it is, wouldn't be surprised if you got a move like that before the next move up in the dollar. I'm not suggesting you try and trade that. I'm just saying that if you are long in the dollar, just be aware that you could well see a pullback sometime very soon. Euro USD, and there's almost the opposite. It's not. You see, it could turn out to be some form of running flat before it goes. So I wouldn't get overly excited about it. But there again, guys, is the divergence with the price moving like that and the MACD pulling back. And there's a little move there, guys. Wouldn't be surprised if this pushed up and before we continue the move down. But I wouldn't try and trade it. Pound. Now we're looking for this to drop because we're looking for strength in the dollar. But having said that, if the Bank of England are going to start raising interest rates, the pound should go long. And with the dollar going short, you could end up with this running, flat, guys. So a little bit less enthusiastic about that. So what I'll do is I'll take those off just for now until we get a better idea of how the market's going to react and if Bank of England are actually going to pull the trigger on interest rates, guys. Aussie US, yet again, both of them are strong at the minute. So you could get a move, but I think it'd be a flat. And this is possibly the same, although the New Zealand's been a little bit weaker than the Aussie recently. So if you were going to trade either of them short, it would be that one there, guys. US CAD. We're looking for some sort of pullback to give us a setup to, well, nothing. This is the one I took yesterday. There's the alarms going off, but it has pulled back again, guys. Listen, I don't see any reason why it's going to break out of this in the meantime. So potentially this will pull on up. Yes, there's a potential little head and shoulders there, but we don't panic about those, guys. Maybe it pulls back the way we were talking about there in DXY before it goes, but the trend's still up. US yen, still up there, guys. We're looking for some sort of correction to potentially trade it further. US Swiss, yet again, we were looking to trade this long. There's a little pullback this morning. Let's go back to DXY. Yeah, that's that little pullback there. We just have to be wary of it potentially, breaking down here before coming long again. But even if it does, guys, it's only going to be a short-term thing. And, you need to trade it in such a way that that doesn't affect you. Where were we? Gold. Yeah, there's a slight move up within gold, but it's still within this, guys. There's a lot of talk this morning about gold prices edging higher. Not for me at the minute. Now, the thing that they were talking about was gold miners moving higher. Now, I haven't checked to see whether that's true or not, but I will, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Silver, it's still in that little flat correction there, guys. Hoping for it to break out. Bitcoin, well, you know what everyone's saying about Bitcoin, it's going to go to the moon. But it's how it gets there is the thing that we need to be wary of, guys. That's the previous all-time high. For it to get to there, yes, it could push on up to there. You'll probably get a reaction off it, and then, you know, it'll have to have another go at it, maybe a couple of goes at it before eventually it breaks out. But whether it goes to there or whether it pulls back again before coming up is the thing that we don't know. And therefore, it's money's always made in where you buy something, guys, what price you pay for something. So if you pay the wrong price, you won't make money, or you won't make as much money as you would have done had you bought it at the right price. So that's what we've always got to be aware of, and we've got to be disciplined about, guys. If you're going to flip houses, there's no good going along and buying the house at the value that it's advertised for. You have to search for those houses where people are in a hurry to get the sale done. And that's hard work, guys. And it's the same with trading. You need to do the hard work and be patient and buy things at the right price. And no matter how much you love the house, if it's at the wrong price, don't buy it. Unless you're buying it for a home. But if you're buying to make money, which is what we're doing here, you need to make sure you buy at the right price, guys. So for me, this is the wrong price. I would need to see it dropping, and then I'd be excited again about getting into it. Could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong, guys. But you've got to use a system. You've got to have a system. Because let's say I was wrong in that situation. Well, the next situation will be right. And the next situation will be right. And the next situation will be right. You don't take the one situation where you were wrong and hold that up as the thing, or vice versa, the one time you're right and hold that up. You got to take both, guys, and average it out. And Ethereum, same thing. It can push up to there. I suspect it will get there. Yet again, it's about the route. So if it drops down again, I'll be interested in buying it. Oil. Yet again, we have oil targeted at $100. Going to need to see some correction in that before it'd be worth buying it. Not that I buy oil anymore. Lost too much money over the years trading it. This impulsive move here, EuroCAD, just continues. But you need something on there, guys. You're going to need some sort of setup. And as soon as I see it, then we'll talk about it. Euro Oz, same thing. If it's going to continue short, you're going to need some sort of setup, something like that. And then we try to trade it down. Euro New Zealand. It isn't as strong as the Aussie, so if you look at how it's been moving, guys, you know, don't expect it to suddenly do something different. Can it do something different? Yes. Is it that predictable? No. Leave it alone. Euro New Zealand, same thing, but as we said, the dollar's probably the better bet. And this is well developed, guys. You're going to need some sort of correction on it in order to get into it. Maybe if the dollar does pull back a little bit through that little ending diagonal there, it doesn't have to, by the way. You see, the only thing I'd say about that is that would need to for it to be a full on ending diagonal. You need it to come up. You need the next one to go to that and the next one to go to that. That's in theory, guys. So when you see one like that, then you have a higher probability that you're going to get the move. That doesn't mean that this isn't an ending diagonal, but you'd be more confident if that had broken the top and then that had broken that again. Whereas that has broken them. So yeah. I've taught myself back into it. It's an ending diagonal. So back to the euro, or by euro. So maybe we see a bit of strength in the euro as the dollar drops there for a day or two or a few days. But it'll only set it up to go short again. Which means that maybe you get a decent trade there, but I'll not be rushing to trade it. Euro Swiss, yet again, this will depend on the gold price, guys. Given that, I wouldn't be keen to try and trade through there. You'd have to see it maybe coming along and then have another go at it. Pound CAD. Now, these trades where the pound has been drawn short, guys, if the Bank of England decides that it's going to start increasing interest rates, we could well see the pound strengthening. And then from these extremes, you could well get a trade back up, guys. But look at how it moves. Okay, there you got an impulse. But look how it moved there. That's a long slog, guys. If you bought in here, or even here with the pullback and you get in there, guys, that's a long slog. You'd have to take your profit. And that's often why I do take small profits, guys, because I don't want to be stuck in something for months. Aussie, we're in 4 hours here, by the way, guys. Now, what we said yesterday is we had a nice zigzag in here. And it could well be the place where it starts to turn. Remember, we're on 4 hours. So I don't know that it is. But let's see what the Bank of England does, or what the market thinks the Bank of England is going to do. And if we start to see the pound going long, yet again, we've had a nice pullback. Potentially, that's a move up. Remembering that the Aussie's actually been strengthening because of the potential of the Reserve Bank of Australia increasing interest rates. So it's always forerun, folks. GB New Zealand, well, that's another one, but look at it. Do you really want to be in that? Pound Swiss. Well, that move there, do you remember I was shorting this and then I got out of it for a zero? I'm kind of glad because it would have been back in the red again. That move was based on the weakening of the pound. But if the Bank of England's going to react, you may see it at least holding steady, guys, rather than dropping. Pound euro, and you could possibly see some upside there. Though I never trade pound euro. Maybe we take that out now. Although, if you look at that, from there, it is dropping off. Pound yen, well, now that could potentially continue to push on up. We were looking for a pullback. Yet again, potential ending diagonal on the 1 hour time scale. Just a wee tiny one. Maybe it pulls back to there and then goes, guys. Don't be trying to trade that. But if it does pull back, that potentially would be a long trade. Aussie yen. Look at that drop off there as well, guys. That's looking to drop, but then maybe we trade it long after that. So I'm a little bit hoarse this morning, guys. Aussie New Zealand. Yet again, just looking for some sort of setup. But the thing we need to be careful this one, and guys, so often I wait so long for these moves and then get so disappointed that when I miss them, And then I just watch them go and go and go, and it's quite frustrating. What often happens with these is that they, rather than giving us a nice setup the way it did there, it just does this, guys. And it just runs and runs and runs like that. And it can be very, very frustrating. If you're in it, fantastic. If you're not in it, it's very hard to get into that, guys. So unless it gives us a correction, I'm going to have to leave it. And that's the type of thing I'm talking about there, guys. That's what that's supposed to represent. Where it doesn't really give you a setup, although there's a few little setups in there, but that type of thing. There to see. Or this, where it doesn't really give you a nice setup. With that one. There's the sort of thing. That's it. I had an idea in my head, and that this is what I'm looking for. Could end up doing something like that. Just leave the pull back out. Give you an idea of what I was thinking about there, guys. So it could end up doing something like that, maybe even for a little bit longer. And that's hard to trade, hard to get into, hard to deal with. Because at every point, the minute you get into it, you're thinking, oh, this is going to drop. And that's always the difficulty, is the fear. You don't have the fear when you're looking at the chart, guys. You only have the fear once you put your money on it. Aussie Swiss, that's also moving in that manner. The last week or so, it started to look like something. When it was back here, it was very difficult to, it was doing this and then it was doing that. It was very difficult to work out where it was going. But it's kind of given us an idea. Now it's broken there. It's moving on up. But I don't see any big reason to trade it. Aussie CAD. Potential upside to this, guys, but you'd be trading against the Aussie. Now, this for me, I think it's got more upside. I would love to see it giving us something like that to get our teeth into, but it's possibly got more upside. Obviously, back here was the place to get into it. Don't know why I didn't. Sometimes I get distracted by all the work I do on stocks, guys, and then I forget about, what I've done here. CAD Swiss. There's my old pal again that I got out of down here. Sorry, I got into it, and then when it came back again, I got out. Look at that nice trade that I missed, guys. And what did I say back then it was going to do? That. Now, it hasn't done that exactly, but I did say it was going to move in that direction. And that's what it's done. And I would say probably a bit more of the same, although the place to get in was along here somewhere, guys. Maybe it pulls back a little bit, gives us another run up into there, and then we'll decide. CAD yen. Yeah, and I think I did say at the time that was the better trade of the two, because we were more sure that the yen was going to go short than the Swiss. So yet again, we're looking for a correction on it to give us a potential setup, guys. I don't know if we're going to get one or not. But at the end of the day, just as we say all the time, you got to buy at the right price. If you buy at the wrong price, you will lose money or sleep, one of the two, or both. You'll lose sleep and you'll lose money. And that's a little bit pointless. New Zealand yen. I very rarely lose sleep over trades, guys. Not like I used to, but that's because I've become a lot more, conservative in my trading. Smaller position sizes, lower leverage. You can sleep with that, guys. New Zealand yen, and then let time do its thing. Time will always do its thing with trading, guys. New Zealand yen, yet again, probably going to push on up. New Zealand CAD, probably going to push on. Oh, no, hold on. I was going to say push on down. Maybe it's time to start looking at this to come long. But I need a breakout through there, guys. So we get a breakout, then we'll start thinking about it. New Zealand Swiss. Yeah, I suspect that there could be another little bit more downside to that. Is that good English? Another little bit more downside. Another little more downside to this, guys. Let's just put it like that. We'll see. Okay, that'll do us for today. I'll speak to you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.